Listen carefully. Your life is not failing because you lack talent. Your life is failing because you are losing the morning. The first hour of your day decides the quality of your thoughts, the strength of your discipline, and the direction of your future. If you start the morning distracted, rushed, and reactive, you will live distracted, rushed, and reactive. Win the morning, and you win your mind. Win your mind, and everything else follows. This is not motivation. This is command, and it starts tomorrow morning. Chapter 1: Stop negotiating with the alarm. The battle for your future begins in the dark, not in the office, not in the gym, not in front of other people. It begins when the alarm goes off, and in that moment, you have a choice. You either move or you negotiate. Most people negotiate. 5 more minutes, 1 more snooze, just a little more comfort. But understand this clearly. The moment you hit snooze, you teach your brain that comfort outranks commitment. That's not dramatic. That's neurological conditioning. You are wiring yourself in real time. Every snooze is a vote for ease over effort, a vote for delay over discipline, a vote for weakness, and weakness compounds fast. You think it's just 5 minutes. It's not about 5 minutes. It's about identity. It's about standards. It's about who is in control. You have a choice. The alarm rings. Your mind says stay. Your commitment says move. And whichever voice you obey becomes stronger tomorrow. That's the key. High performers don't feel ready. They move on command. They don't wait for emotion. They don't consult their mood. They don't conduct a committee meeting in their head at 5:30 a.m. They execute. The alarm is not a suggestion. It is an order. And when you treat it like an order, something shifts inside you. You stop being a passenger in your own life. Let's be honest. You don't hit snooze because you're tired. You hit snooze because you're undisciplined. There's a difference. It's not about fatigue. It's about standards. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you do. Say it with me. I do not negotiate with comfort. I move when it's time. Again, I do not negotiate with comfort. I move when it's time. You need that sentence burned into your nervous system, because the snooze button is not a button. It's a habit trigger. It trains hesitation. It trains delay. It trains you to break promises to yourself before the day even begins. And when you break promises to yourself, confidence erodes. Self-trust disappears quietly, not in dramatic failures, in small betrayals. Like snoozing, you have a choice. Let's talk about what actually happens when the alarm rings. There's a 3-10-second window. That's it. A narrow gap between stimulus and story. If you move within that window, you win. If you start thinking, you lose. Thinking is the enemy in that moment. Your brain will produce arguments. It's too early. You slept late. You'll start tomorrow. That's negotiation. And negotiation is weakness. You don't need their permission, not your brain-s, not your body-s, not your excuses. You need a rule. Here is the rule. When the alarm rings, your feet hit the floor. Immediately. No delay, no thought, no emotion. That's the system. It's not about motivation. It's about automation. You don't rise to motivation. You fall to systems. That's the key. So make it automatic. Alarm rings, sit up, feet down, stand, done. The faster you move, the less power comfort has. And let's address the lie you tell yourself. I'll just scroll for a minute. No, that's the second negotiation. First snooze, then scroll, then drift. Before you know it, you've handed your mind to distraction, and the day owns you. You have a choice, comfort or command. Every morning you choose comfort, you shrink a little. Every morning you choose command, you expand a little. And expansion compounds. Understand this: discipline is easier than regret. Regret is heavy. Discipline is sharp, clean, immediate. 5 minutes of discomfort is lighter than a full day of self-disappointment. It's not about sleep quality, it's about personal authority. Personal authority is built in private. Nobody sees you get up. Nobody applauds. Nobody cares. That's why it matters. Because you're doing it without validation. You don't need their permission. You don't need applause. You need alignment between your word and your action. If you said you wake up at 5:30, then 5:30 is law, not preference, not suggestion, law. And if you've been snoozing for years, good. That means today is powerful, because today you interrupt the pattern. Change doesn't happen in grand gestures. It happens in tiny, controlled rebellions against your old self. Tomorrow morning is your rebellion. Let's get practical. Before bed, set the intention out loud. When the alarm rings, I stand up immediately. Prime your mind, make it clear. Put the phone across the room, force movement, remove negotiation. When the alarm rings, count backward from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, move, no thinking. I do not negotiate with comfort. I move when it's time. You will feel resistance. Good. Resistance means growth. Resistance means you're rewiring. And here's the truth most people avoid. The first win of the day changes your posture. You walk differently. You think differently because you already kept a promise. That's momentum. And momentum is fragile. It begins small. One decision, one act of obedience to your higher standard. You don't need to conquer the world at 5 a.m. You just need to conquer the mattress. That's the key. If you can defeat the bed, you can defeat distraction. If you can defeat distraction, you can defeat mediocrity. You have a choice. Every single morning, weakness compounds. But so does discipline. Imagine stacking 30 days of immediate action. No snooze, no debate, just movement. Who are you after that? Not motivated, not hyped. Reliable, dangerously reliable. And reliability builds power. This chapter is not about waking up early. It's about ending negotiation. Because the habit of negotiation doesn't stay in the bedroom, it follows you into business, into relationships, into health. I'll start later. I'll try tomorrow, maybe next week. That pattern begins with snooze, so you cut it off at the root. You don't need their permission. You need a standard. Say it one more time. I do not negotiate with comfort. I move when it's time. When you win the first decision of the day, you send a message to your mind. I am in charge here. And when you are in charge of your mind, you are on the path to winning the morning. You stopped negotiating with the alarm. Good. Now you must understand what you're actually protecting in those early hours. Because the morning isn't just time, it's territory. You claimed the first battle. Now it's time to defend the ground you just took. Chapter 2, Your morning is a psychological battlefield. You think your morning is routine. It's not. It's a battlefield. And most people walk onto that battlefield unarmed, unfocused, and unaware they're even in a fight. The morning is when your mind is most programmable and most vulnerable. In those first 30 to 60 minutes, your brain is transitioning from subconscious to conscious control. Suggestible, open, unprotected. Whatever wins that first battle sets the tone for the entire war. That's not poetry, that's psychology. You have a choice. You can take control of that open window. Or you can let the world rush in and claim it. and the world is aggressive. Notifications, emails, news alerts, social media, messages, noise. You don't lose focus in the morning, you surrender it. That's the key. Nobody steals your attention, you hand it over, voluntarily, repeatedly. You wake up. You reach for the phone, you scroll, and within seconds, your emotional state belongs to someone else. Someone's opinion, someone's crisis, someone's highlight reel, and now your mind is reacting instead of leading. It's not about technology, it's about discipline. Say it clearly. Protect the morning, or the morning will betray you. Again, protect the morning, or the morning will betray you. Because if you don't guard that space, distraction will occupy it. Let's break down what actually happens. When you check your phone immediately after waking, you trigger dopamine spikes. Fast stimulation, novelty, your brain gets hooked instantly. That means slower, more meaningful tasks, planning, thinking, creating, feel harder afterward. You've trained your brain to crave noise before it can tolerate focus. And then you say you lack discipline. It's not about lack of focus, it's about lack of protection. You have a choice. The first input of your day becomes the lens through which you see everything else. If the first input is chaos, your day feels chaotic. If the first input is urgency, your day feels rushed. If the first input is comparison, your confidence drops before breakfast. That's not weakness, that's conditioning, and conditioning can be reversed, but only if you decide the morning is sacred territory. You don't need their permission to protect your time, not your boss, not your friends, not your notifications. You need boundaries. Here is the rule: no external input for the first 30 minutes of your day. No phone, no email, no news, no scrolling. You win the inner battle before you engage the outer world. That's the key. High performers don't start reactive. They start intentional. Reactive means responding to what shows up. Intentional means deciding what matters before anything shows up. You have a choice. Imagine two scenarios. Scenario 1, alarm rings, you get up, you grab your phone, you see an email marked urgent, stress spikes, you scroll, someone else is ahead of you. Comparison kicks in, you read negative news, anxiety rises. By 8 a.m. your nervous system is hijacked. Scenario 2, alarm rings, you get up, no phone, you drink water, you breathe, you move your body, you review your top priorities, you decide what today stands for. By 8 a.m. you are centered, same person, same day, different inputs. That's the battlefield. And understand this clearly, the battle is not dramatic. It's quiet, subtle, repetitive. It happens every morning. Protect the morning, or the morning will betray you. Your environment is stronger than your willpower. If your phone is next to your bed, you will reach for it, not because you're weak, because you're human. So change the environment. Charge your phone outside the bedroom. Buy a real alarm clock. Put a notebook next to your bed instead of a screen. It's not about willpower, it's about design. That's the key. And let's talk about noise. Many people wake up and immediately turn something on. Music, podcasts, television, constant stimulation. Why? Because silence is uncomfortable. But discomfort is where control is built. If you cannot sit alone with your thoughts for 10 minutes in the morning, your mind is not strong. It's dependent. You have a choice. You can build tolerance for silence, or you can stay addicted to noise. Silence strengthens awareness. Awareness strengthens discipline. Discipline strengthens identity. It's not about productivity hacks. It's about mental sovereignty. Ask yourself this: who owns the first hour of your day? If it's your phone, you are not in control. If it's social media, you are not in control. If it's other people's emergencies, you are not in control. Control must be claimed. Here's your practical framework. First 30 minutes, isolation, protect it. Minute 15, hydrate, breathe deeply, regulate your nervous system. Minute 5:15, move your body, activate physically. Minute 15:30, plan your top 3 priorities, write them down. Decide who you will be today. No input, only output. You create before you consume, that's the key. Because once you open the gates, the world floods in, and after that, it takes twice the energy to regain focus. You have a choice, and let's be honest. The world is loud. It will not get quieter. Notifications will increase. Demands will grow. Information will multiply. So the only solution is not escape. It's discipline. Protect the morning, or the morning will betray you. Say it again. Protect the morning, or the morning will betray you. The morning is leverage, a small hinge that swings a large door. If you win the psychological battle early, the rest of the day requires less force. If you lose it, everything feels uphill. You already stopped negotiating with the alarm. That was step 1. You proved you can stand up on command. Now you must defend your focus, because getting up early means nothing if you immediately surrender your mind. Winning the morning is not about time. It's about territory, mental territory. Guard it, defend it, own it. You have a choice. And when you consistently win this invisible battle, something powerful begins to form: self-trust. Because you're no longer reacting, you're leading. You're no longer programmable, you're intentional. And identity is built in that quiet, protected space before the world wakes up. You secured the battlefield. Good. Now it's time to understand what you're actually constructing in that silence. Chapter 3: Identity is built before the world wakes up. Confidence is not built in public. It's not built on stages. It's not built on social media. It's not built when people are watching. It's built alone, early, repeatedly, before the world wakes up. You think confidence comes from success. It doesn't. Success is the byproduct. Confidence comes from self-trust, and self-trust is earned in private. That's the key. The morning is where self-trust is either built or broken. You have a choice. When you wake up and follow through on what you said you would do, you deposit into your identity. When you hesitate, delay, or drift, you withdraw from it. And identity is everything, because you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your identity. If you see yourself as disciplined, you act disciplined. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you act inconsistent. So the real question is this: who are you proving yourself to be each morning? Say it clearly: I become who I prove myself to be each morning. Again. I become who I prove myself to be each morning. Identity does not respond to affirmations, it responds to evidence. You can repeat positive statements all day long. I am strong, I am focused, I am powerful. But if your actions don't match, your brain rejects it. Because your brain believes proof. That's the key. Every completed morning ritual is evidence. Evidence that you follow through. Evidence that you honor your word. Evidence that you are in control. And evidence builds identity. Let's make this practical. If you wake up at the time you said you would, that's evidence. If you move your body when you said you would, that's evidence. If you sit in silence when you said you would, that's evidence. Stack enough evidence, and confidence becomes natural. It's not about arrogance. It's about certainty. You don't need their permission to feel confident. You need proof, and proof is built in repetition. Most people chase visible wins, promotions, recognition, applause, but those are external markers. Fragile, temporary, real confidence is quiet. It's knowing that when you give yourself an instruction, you obey it. You have a choice. You can perform for others during the day, or you can build yourself before anyone sees you. The morning is where you decide. And here's the truth most people avoid. If you cannot trust yourself with small commitments, you will not trust yourself with big ones. It's not about ambition. It's about discipline. You want to start a business? Build the identity first. You want to get in shape? Build the identity first. You want better relationships? Build the identity first. Identity precedes achievement. That's the key. And identity is shaped by repeated behavior, not occasional intensity. One powerful morning won't change you. 30 will, 90 will, 300 will, because repetition turns actions into traits. You don't try to be disciplined. You practice discipline until it becomes automatic. Say it again, I become who I prove myself to be each morning. Notice the wording, not who you wish to be, not who you talk about being, who you prove yourself to be. Proof requires action. Let's talk about the psychological shift that happens when you follow through consistently. You start walking differently. You start speaking with more certainty. You hesitate less. You second-guess less. Why? Because deep down, you know you are reliable. And reliability is power. Most people are unreliable with themselves. They break promises daily. I'll wake up early. Snooze. I'll work out, skip. I'll focus, scroll, and then they wonder why they feel insecure. Insecurity is often the byproduct of self-betrayal. That's not an insult, that's awareness. You have a choice. Stop betraying yourself. Start proving yourself. It's not about talent. It's about discipline. You don't need their permission to become someone new. You need consistent behavior that supports that identity. So here's the instruction. Design a simple, repeatable morning ritual. Not complicated, not extreme, sustainable. Wake up, hydrate, move for 10 minutes. Sit in silence for 5. Review your top priorities, then execute every day. No drama, no negotiation, no reinvention. The power is not in complexity, it's in consistency. That's the key. And here's something most people misunderstand. The ritual itself is not magic. The identity shift is. When you complete your ritual, you're telling your brain, I am someone who follows through. That statement, reinforced daily, changes how you approach everything else. You start finishing projects. You start making harder decisions. You stop tolerating excuses because your identity has evolved. You have a choice. Drift into the day with randomness or construct yourself intentionally before sunrise. The world will try to define you, labels, expectations, opinions, but the morning gives you the chance to define yourself first, and that is power. I become who I prove myself to be each morning. Burn that into your mind, because when challenges come later in the day, and they will, you won't crumble. You'll remember who you proved yourself to be at 6 a.m. disciplined, focused, intentional. You already stopped negotiating with the alarm. You protected the battlefield of your mind. Now you're building identity inside that protected space. That's how you win the morning. But identity cannot stay theoretical. It must be embodied, physical, tangible, because the body influences the brain faster than the brain influences the body. You built internal proof. Now it's time to activate it physically. Chapter 4. Move the body, command the brain. Your mind is not in control the moment you wake up. Your body is, your nervous system, your chemistry, your energy state. And if you try to think your way into discipline without changing your physiology, you will lose. That's the key. Physical movement in the morning is not about fitness. It's not about aesthetics. It's not about six-pack abs or step counters. It's about dominance over hesitation. It's about proving physically that when you give a command, your system obeys. You have a choice. You can stay still and let sluggishness define your state, or you can move and force momentum. Motion forces momentum. Say it clearly. When my body moves, my mind sharpens. Again, when my body moves, my mind sharpens. Hesitation lives in stillness. Doubt lives in stillness. Overthinking lives in stillness. Movement disrupts all three. The moment you start moving, push-ups, stretching, walking, jumping jacks, cold water on your face, your brain receives a signal. We are active. We are alert. We are in control. And when the body obeys, the mind falls in line. That's not motivational talk. That's biology. Blood flow increases. Oxygen rises. Stress hormones regulate. Dopamine balances. You shift from passive to active. You don't need their permission to move. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need the right playlist. You need action. It's not about exhaustion. It's about activation. Most people say, I'm not a morning workout person. That's an identity statement, and identity can be changed. It's not about preference. It's about discipline. You are not trying to become a professional athlete at 6 a.m. You are trying to become the kind of person who moves on command. That's the key. Let's strip this down. When the alarm rings and you stand up, that's step one. But if you immediately sit back down, scroll, or drift into autopilot, you allow hesitation to creep back in. Movement seals the decision. It locks in momentum. You have a choice. After you stand up, you either activate or you slowly slide back into passivity. Passivity is dangerous. It makes the day feel heavy. It makes tasks feel bigger than they are. But when you move, even for 5 minutes, the day feels lighter, sharper, because you initiated it. When my body moves, my mind sharpens. Say it again. When my body moves, my mind sharpens. Here's the transformation. Discipline is physical before it is mental. Most people wait to feel motivated before they act. That's backward. Action creates motivation. Movement creates clarity. You don't think your way into energy. You move your way into energy. That's the key. Let's talk about dominance. When you choose to move your body early, especially when you don't feel like it, you are practicing dominance over comfort. Not aggression, not punishment, dominance. You are telling your nervous system, we act regardless of mood. That skill transfers. Later in the day, when you don't feel like making the hard call, you'll remember the push-ups. When you don't feel like focusing, you'll remember the walk. When you don't feel like staying disciplined, you'll remember that you already proved you can override resistance. It compounds. You have a choice. You can treat movement as optional, or you can treat it as non-negotiable mental training. It's not about fitness. It's about authority. Authority over your impulses, authority over your lethargy, authority over your excuses. And here's the truth. You don't need an hour. You need intensity and consistency. 5 to 15 minutes is enough to shift your state. Here's a simple protocol. Immediately after waking, 20 bodyweight squats, 15 push-ups, 30-second plank, stretch your spine, cold water on your face, or step outside and walk briskly for 10 minutes. No phone, no distractions, just movement. The goal is not sweat, the goal is activation. When my body moves, my mind sharpens, and let's address the resistance. Your brain will say, it's too much. It won't matter. You can skip today. That's hesitation speaking. It's not about laziness, it's about discipline. You have a choice. Listen to the hesitation or override it. Overriding builds strength. Listening builds weakness. And weakness compounds fast. Movement also builds emotional regulation. Stress later in the day won't hit you as hard. Why? Because you already elevated your heart rate. You already challenged yourself. Your system has adapted early. You are less fragile. That's the key. Fragility comes from comfort addiction. Resilience comes from controlled discomfort. Morning movement is controlled discomfort. And controlled discomfort builds controlled minds. You don't need their permission to prioritize your strength. You don't need validation for your routine. You need repetition. Repeat it daily until it becomes identity. The person who moves every morning is different from the person who waits. Different posture, different tone, different presence. Why? Because they already won a physical battle before breakfast. You have a choice. Stay soft in the morning. Or sharpen yourself before the world touches you. When my body moves, my mind sharpens. Burn it in. Movement is the bridge between intention and execution. You intended to wake up strong. Movement makes it real. You intended to be disciplined. Movement proves it. And proof builds identity. You stopped negotiating with the alarm. You protected your psychological battlefield. You began constructing identity. Now you've activated your physiology. You are awake, alert, engaged. But there is one more layer most people avoid. One layer that determines whether your mind stays sharp or drifts back into noise. Because movement energizes you, but silence stabilizes you. Energy without control becomes chaos. Activation without reflection becomes reaction. So now that your body is awake, it's time to train your mind in stillness. Chapter 5: Silence is the weapon most people avoid. Most people are not afraid of failure, they're afraid of silence, because silence removes distraction. Silence removes noise. Silence removes escape. And when there is nothing left to hide behind, you are face to face with your own mind. That's uncomfortable. That's why most people avoid it. They wake up and immediately turn something on. Music, a podcast, the news, a video, constant stimulation, constant input. Why? Because noise keeps you distracted from your own thoughts. But understand this clearly. What you avoid in silence will control you in noise. That's the key. You have a choice. You can drown out your thoughts every morning, or you can train your mind to face them. Silence exposes truth. If you're anxious, silence shows it. If you're resentful, silence shows it. If you're lost, silence shows it. And most people would rather scroll than confront that reality. But leaders are not built in noise. They are built in stillness. Say this slowly. I sit in silence so my mind learns to listen. Again, I sit in silence so my mind learns to listen. Your mind is loud because you've never trained it to be quiet. It jumps, it races, it replays conversations, it anticipates problems, it exaggerates fears. And because you've never developed authority over it, it feels overwhelming. It's not about anxiety, it's about discipline. Silence is not passive, it is active training. When you sit in silence in the morning, no phone, no music, no conversation, you are strengthening awareness. Awareness is the space between thought and reaction. And that space is power. You have a choice. React automatically to every thought or observe it before you obey it. That's the key. Morning silence builds clarity. When you sit quietly for 5 to 10 minutes, something subtle happens. The mental dust settles, the emotional fog lifts. You begin to see your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. You start noticing patterns. I worry about things I can't control. I replay conversations too much. I doubt myself before I even try. That awareness is not weakness, it's data, and data gives you control. You don't need their permission to sit in silence. You don't need to label it meditation. You don't need special music or an app. You need stillness. Here is the instruction. After movement, sit down, straight spine, feet grounded, eyes closed or softly focused. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Breathe slowly, inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and watch your thoughts. Don't fight them, don't chase them, observe them. That's the training. I sit in silence so my mind learns to listen. Most people say, I can't meditate, my mind is too busy. Exactly. That's why you need it. It's not about clearing your mind, it's about commanding it. When you sit in silence, you're practicing not reacting. You're teaching your brain that not every thought deserves action. That discipline changes everything. Later in the day, when someone criticizes you, you won't explode. When stress appears, you won't spiral. When fear shows up, you won't freeze, because you practiced observation instead of reaction. That's the key. Morning silence also builds emotional control. Emotion is energy, and unmanaged energy becomes volatility. Silence helps you regulate that energy. If you wake up irritated, silence reveals it before it spreads. If you wake up heavy, silence allows you to process it before it leaks into your work. You have a choice. Carry unexamined emotions into the day or confront them early and take control. Leaders are emotionally stable. Not because they don't feel, but because they process. And processing requires space. Noise eliminates space. Silence creates it. It's not about personality, it's about discipline. And here's another truth. Silence builds internal authority. When you constantly consume content, you start outsourcing your thinking. You look for opinions, validation, direction. But when you sit in silence daily, you begin to trust your own judgment. Ideas surface, insights appear, priorities become clearer, because your mind finally has room to speak. I sit in silence so my mind learns to listen. Burn that into your identity. The world is loud. Louder every year, more notifications, more urgency, more opinions. If you don't intentionally create silence, your mind will never rest. And a restless mind cannot lead. You have a choice. Depend on noise for stimulation or develop strength in stillness. Start small, 5 minutes, every morning, no exceptions. If your mind wanders, bring it back to your breath. If discomfort rises, sit with it. If boredom appears, observe it. Boredom is not the enemy, it's a doorway. On the other side of boredom is clarity. That's the key. Silence is not weakness, it is a weapon. It sharpens perception. It stabilizes emotion. It strengthens authority. And when combined with early rising and physical movement, it creates a powerful internal foundation. You are no longer reacting. You are choosing. You are no longer scattered. You are centered. You stopped negotiating with the alarm. You protected the battlefield. You built identity. You activated your body. Now you've strengthened your mind through silence. But there is one more threat to your authority each morning. A habit so common that most people don't even question it. Consumption before creation. And that habit silently destroys momentum. Chapter 6. Input before output destroys authority. The first rule of the morning is simple. You create, then you consume. Most people do it backwards. They check messages first, scroll through news feeds, respond to emails, open social media. Notifications rule their attention before their mind even warms up. And here's the truth. When you start the day by consuming, you give control away. You hand the first hour of your life to someone else. Their priorities, their agenda, their panic, their drama. You don't lose focus, you surrender it. That's the key. You have a choice. You can obey the noise or you can command your own mind. Repeat it. Say it aloud. I create before I consume every morning. Again, I create before I consume every morning. Burn that into your identity. It is non-negotiable. Here's why it matters. The first input of the day is like planting a seed. If you plant distraction, you grow distraction. If you plant creation, you grow creation. You cannot be both reactive and in control. You cannot check the world's demands before checking your own priorities and expect to lead your day. That's not ambition, that's surrender. Think about this. How many mornings do you wake up, grab your phone, and immediately react to an email marked urgent? You feel busy, important, productive. But you're actually obeying someone else's timetable, someone else's drama, someone else's fear. And then, by the time you start your own work, your energy is depleted. Your clarity is gone. Your focus is compromised. You have a choice. Start reactive or start intentional. Intentional people create first. They write, plan, exercise, think. They build momentum. They generate energy. They assert authority over their own day before anyone else shows up. It's not about having the perfect routine. It's about establishing precedence, creation before consumption. That's the key. Let's make it practical. When you wake up, immediately engage in output. Write in a journal. Plan your top 3 priorities. Work on a project. Brainstorm. Meditate with intention. Move your body with purpose. Produce. Generate. Create. Only after you have established your dominance over your own mind do you allow input. That is when you can check messages, emails, news, and updates. Then, input becomes a tool, not a trap. You don't need their permission to start your day this way. Not your boss, not your friends, not the notifications constantly demanding attention. You need standards. Standards are non-negotiable. They define winners. If you want internal authority, you must practice it in these invisible early hours. That's the key, because input before output trains reactivity. Reactivity trains weak decision-making. Weak decision-making trains low self-esteem. Low self-esteem trains hesitation. Hesitation compounds faster than you think. And it all begins the moment your eyes open. You have a choice. React immediately or create first and react later. Repeat it. I create before I consume every morning. When you follow this principle, something shifts. You feel awake. You feel sharp. You feel grounded. You are not pulled by the world. You pull the world toward you. It is subtle at first, but every morning it compounds. Think of a simple example. You wake up, journal for 10 minutes, plan the day, make a list, do a short creative task, then check messages. Suddenly your response is calm, calculated, purposeful. You are in control. You do not react emotionally to every ping you laid. Contrast that with the alternative. You wake up, you scroll, you react, you reply to drama, you jump into everyone else's chaos. By noon, you're exhausted, distracted, and behind. That is how mediocrity builds itself. It's not about the apps. It's about discipline. It's not about the phone. It's about leadership. Input first is surrender. Output first is authority. You have a choice every morning, and here's how to make it stick. Set boundaries around your input. Turn off notifications before bed. Charge your phone in another room. No emails, no news, no social media until your creation window is complete. Even 10 minutes of focused output before consumption changes the game. It's not about perfection. It's about habit. It's about momentum. It's about proving to yourself that you are in command. Repeat it one more time. I create before I consume every morning. And let's address resistance. Your mind will say, I need to see what's happening first. It could be urgent. Others are waiting. That's the negotiation trap. That's weakness speaking. It's not about being selfish. It's about discipline. It's about authority. It's about being the first mover of your own life. You have a choice. Yield control or assert it. And once you assert it consistently, everything changes. Your productivity skyrockets. Your clarity sharpens. Your energy stabilizes. Your confidence grows, because leadership starts within. It begins with you. The habit of output first trains the brain for creation. It trains decisiveness. It trains internal standards. It trains reliability. That's the key. And reliability compounds into identity. Identity compounds into results. Results compound into success. You are creating before you consume every morning, and that is the foundation of power. Remember, input before output destroys authority. Output first builds it, so start today. Set a window for creation before checking your phone. Protect it, defend it, follow it without compromise. You've mastered the alarm. You've protected your mental battlefield. You've built identity. You've moved your body. You've practiced silence. Now, it's time to command your mind by generating before consuming. Chapter 7, The Discipline Loop, Same Time, Same Actions. Consistency is not sexy. It is boring, repetitive, predictable, and that is exactly why it works. The human brain loves to negotiate. It loves options. It loves debate. It loves the excuse factory. But if you remove choice, you remove negotiation, you remove debate, you remove excuses, that's the key. You have a choice. You can rely on motivation or you can build a system. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. It is unreliable. It is a liar. Systems are permanent. They execute even when you don't want to. They carry you forward when willpower is gone. You don't rise to motivation, you fall to systems. That's the truth most people ignore. The morning must be automatic. Say it aloud. No thinking, no debating. I follow the system. Again, no thinking. No debating. I follow the system. Burn it into your nervous system. This is how winners operate. They do not rely on emotion. They do not debate their way into action. They follow the loop, the rhythm, the pattern. Let's break it down. Step 1, same time. Your alarm is fixed. No negotiation. No adjustment based on mood, fatigue, or weather. Same time every day. Step 2, same actions. The sequence is set. Movement, silence, creation, hydration, journaling. Whatever your routine is, it is fixed. Step 3, repeat every day without exception. And here's the beauty. When the routine is fixed, excuses disappear. Decision fatigue disappears. Your mind no longer has to debate whether to act or not. It simply obeys. That's the key. Decision fatigue is the silent killer of discipline. Every choice you make drains energy. Every argument in your head consumes willpower. By noon, most people are out of reserves, but a fixed routine is a shortcut. It eliminates the first battle, the battle for obedience. You win automatically. You have a choice. You can negotiate every step of the morning. Or you can follow a loop that does not negotiate. Now let's be real. Life is chaotic. Plans change. Emergencies arise. But the first hour of your day, the discipline loop, remains untouchable. Protect it like a fortress. Because when the loop fails, the rest of your day fails. Here's what that looks like in practice. 5:00 a.m. alarm. Feet hit the floor, movement, hydration, silence, journaling, creation, no phone, no debate, no thinking, no negotiation, every step automatic, every step unarguable, even if you hate it, even if you don't feel like it. Even if your brain screams to delay, distract, or negotiate, you follow the loop. Why? Because the loop teaches obedience. Obedience builds identity. Identity builds results. Consistency is compounding. The first day it's awkward, you resist, you fight, you question yourself, you wonder why it matters. The second day it's slightly easier. The third day it's easier still. By day 7, the path is familiar. By day 30, it's instinctive. By day 90, it is identity. No thinking, no debating. I follow the system. That's the key. The brain loves novelty. It hates repetition. But repetition builds mastery. Mastery builds freedom. Here's the paradox. You are not enslaved by repetition. You are liberated. Because freedom is a result of control, and control comes from repetition. You have a choice. You can fight the routine, or you can let the routine fight for you. Consistency eliminates excuses. Here's why. Excuses are arguments made after the fact. When the system is automatic, excuses are irrelevant. You do feel like it. You do hope for motivation. You do. End of story. Let's anchor this in real-world practice. Create a fixed morning loop that takes 1 hour. Step 1, alarm and wake up. Immediate movement, feet on the floor, no negotiation. Step 2, physical activation, push-ups, stretching, walking, get the blood moving. Step 3, silence, meditate, reflect. Observe thoughts without reacting. Step 4, creation. Journaling, planning, or work that generates output. Step 5, review priorities. Decide the day's top 3 tasks. Step 6, hydrate and fuel the body. Every day, same time, same actions, automatic, non-negotiable. And here's the beauty. The day after the loop is complete, your mind is sharper. Your energy is stabilized. Your priorities are clear. You are no longer reactive. You are intentional. No thinking, no debating. I follow the system. Repeat it again and again. Let's address the temptation to break the loop. Excuses will appear. I'm too tired. I worked late. I'll start tomorrow. This is weakness disguised as logic. This is your mind negotiating with comfort. You have a choice. Obey comfort or obey discipline. Obeying discipline compounds. Obeying comfort compounds. The choice is yours. Consistency does not wait for emotion. It does not wait for inspiration. It does not wait for convenience. It waits for obedience. That's the key. Once the loop becomes automatic, mornings stop being a decision. They become proof. Proof that you can follow through, proof that you can lead yourself, proof that you can win before the world even notices. This is how leaders are built, not in grand gestures, not in dramatic events, not in rare moments of motivation, in quiet repetition, day after day, month after month, year after year, no thinking, no debating, I follow the system. And here's the final truth: systems scale, habits scale. Identity scales, results follow naturally. You stop fighting, you start producing, you stop negotiating, you start winning. You mastered action, you mastered silence, you mastered creation. Now you master consistency. The discipline loop is your anchor. Protect it, repeat it, live it. Chapter 8: Emotion follows action, not the other way around. Most people wake up and wait for motivation, wait for energy, wait for inspiration, wait to feel like it. And the truth, they stay stuck. Every day, every morning, every year. That's not life. That's paralysis. You have a choice. You can wait or you can act. Here's the brutal truth: motivation is not the starting point, it is the byproduct. Action comes first. Emotion follows. That's the rule of human psychology. Repeat it. Say it aloud. I act first. The feeling follows. Again, I act first. The feeling follows. Burn that into your system. Your mind will try to argue, I can't, I'm tired, I don't feel it. That is hesitation. That is weakness. That is the voice of comfort trying to reclaim control. You have a choice. Obey hesitation or obey discipline. Morning discipline is the ultimate emotional stabilizer. When you get up, move, sit in silence, and create before consuming, you are not just checking boxes, you are regulating your nervous system. You are stabilizing mood. You are building confidence. You are establishing resilience. Emotion does not lead the day. Action does. Think of it like a car. You do not wait for the engine to feel ready. You turn the key, you shift into gear, you accelerate. The momentum produces the feeling of power. Your body, your mind, your day, it's the same. Action manufactures the internal state you want. You have a choice. You can wait to feel disciplined, or you can act disciplined and allow the feeling to follow. Let's get practical. The moment your alarm rings, the first decision is always physical. Stand up, move, hydrate. Even 10 minutes of deliberate action starts the chemical cascade of motivation, energy, and clarity. I repeat, 10 minutes of action creates more emotional power than an hour of waiting for inspiration. That's the key. The mind is a reactive machine. It follows what the body does. If your body obeys, your brain obeys. If your body hesitates, your brain doubts. Movement, creation, silence, these are not just routines. They are levers of emotional authority. Repeat it again. I act first. The feeling follows. Waiting for the right mood is the fastest way to remain mediocre. Winners know this. High performers know this. They act first. Feeling comes later. And when feeling arrives, it amplifies their action rather than dictates it. You have a choice. Wait for courage or generate courage through action. Wait for confidence or build confidence through repeated morning victories. Your emotions are not commands. They are followers. They obey behavior. They obey habit. They obey discipline. And here is the repetition principle that most people ignore. The more consistently you act before you feel, the faster your internal state becomes stable. The more stable your mornings, the more stable your days. The more stable your days, the more resilient your life. It compounds. This is where most people fail. They act sporadically. They wait. They delay. They search for a mood instead of creating a routine. And then they wonder why they feel inconsistent, weak, or frustrated. That's not a flaw. That's predictable human behavior, but it is reversible. You have a choice. Start acting every morning, every day. No exceptions. Build the internal proof. Build the momentum. Build the state that follows your action. Here's the framework. Step 1, wake on command, no negotiation. Step 2, move your body, activate circulation, oxygenate your brain. Step 3, sit in silence. Observe your thoughts, regulate emotion. Step 4, create, journaling, planning, or small productive tasks. Output before input. Step 5, check your messages. Consume only after you lead. Follow these steps. No thinking, no debating, no waiting. The emotions arrive as a natural consequence. Repeat aloud, I act first, the feeling follows. And let's address the challenge. Resistance will appear. Your mind will scream, I don't feel ready. Ignore it. It is lying. It is comfort trying to reclaim the morning. Action overrules it every time. This principle applies beyond mornings. It applies to work, health, relationships, and growth. You do not wait to feel courageous. You act courageously. You do not wait to feel motivated to start your project. You start it. You do not wait to feel confident before speaking up. You speak. Action manufactures emotion. Emotion does not manufacture action. This is the distinction between winners and everyone else. Every morning, as you rise, move, sit, and create, you are not only winning the day, you are winning yourself. Confidence becomes habitual. Motivation becomes reliable. Emotional resilience becomes automatic. You have a choice. React to moods or command them. Repeat it for reinforcement. I act first. The feeling follows. And the habit compounds. Each day you follow this principle, your mind trusts itself. Your body trusts itself. Your internal state becomes predictable, controlled, and reliable. The moments later in the day when stress hits, setbacks occur, or challenges appear, you do not crumble. You act. The feeling follows. You are no longer reactive. You are intentional. You are disciplined. That is how the mornings shape your life. You've stopped negotiating with the alarm. You've protected the battlefield. You've built identity. You've moved your body. You've embraced silence. You've created before consuming. You've followed the loop. Now you command your emotional state through action. Momentum is no longer an external force. It is internal. You generate it, you control it, you trust it, and that is power. Repeat one final time, I act first. The feeling follows. You mastered action, you mastered discipline. You mastered emotion. Next, we will tackle the invisible threat that undermines all this control. The silent drain of attention and energy, the mindless distractions that steal your morning victory. Chapter 9, Small Morning Wins Create Unbreakable Momentum. Momentum is not magic, it is a habit, a chain, a force created by repeated action, and it begins in the morning. Every completed task, no matter how small, is a psychological victory. One push-up, one glass of water, one 5-minute journal entry, one step outside, one task finished. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be done. That's the key. You have a choice. You can drift or you can win. Repeat it aloud. One win leads to another. I start early. Again. One win leads to another. I start early. Momentum is a snowball. The first task is the pebble, small, lightweight, but it starts rolling, and each successive task adds mass, adds speed, adds force. By the time you reach your main tasks, your big priorities, the snowball is unstoppable. You are no longer negotiating, you are executing, you are leading yourself, you are in motion, and the world reacts to motion. Most people wait for perfect conditions, they wait to feel ready. They wait for energy, for time, for motivation. And what happens? They stall, the snowball never starts, momentum never builds, they live in mediocrity. Not you, you start, you win, you repeat, you have a choice. You can wait for the right mood. Or you can take action and manufacture the mood. That's the key. Psychologists call this the progress principle. Early wins create intrinsic motivation. Early wins feed confidence. Early wins wire the brain for execution, and it's all triggered by completion, not perfection, completion. Say it aloud. One win leads to another. I start early. Small wins compound. This is not theory, this is biology. Dopamine is released when you finish tasks. Your brain rewards success. Your brain encourages more action. It's a feedback loop, a self-reinforcing cycle. You have a choice. You can chase excitement, or you can create it through completion. The morning is the perfect testing ground. Start with one task, complete it, celebrate it silently, not with validation, not with external applause. Internal acknowledgement is enough. Then do the next, and the next. Momentum is unstoppable when the chain is unbroken. Even small actions, tidying your space, making your bed, sending a short email, reviewing your plan, are wins. Each win signals to your brain, I am capable, I am reliable, I am in control. And these signals compound throughout the day. Momentum is not about quantity, it is about sequence. It is about consistency. It is about stacking wins before the world demands them. That's the key. Many people believe mornings must be perfect to matter. They compare themselves to influencers, gurus, or productivity apps. They think if they miss a step, the day is ruined. Wrong. You don't need a perfect morning. You need a completed morning. One win, then another. Small victories create unbreakable momentum. Repeat it. One win leads to another. I start early. Let's break this down with real-world examples. The morning warrior wakes at 5:00 a.m. First, they make their bed. Small win. Momentum begins. Second, they move push-ups, stretches. Second win. Third, they journal, clarity, priorities, reflection. Third win. Fourth, they hydrate and fuel. Fourth win. Fifth, they take 5 minutes to create before consuming. Fifth win. By the time most people have hit snooze twice, scrolled through Instagram, and debated whether to start, the morning warrior has completed 5 tasks. 5 wins, 5 momentum triggers. The day bends to their control. Small wins teach discipline. Small wins build identity. Small wins create confidence. And small wins compound into momentum that feels unstoppable. You have a choice. You can accept the sluggish, reactive mornings, or you can command yourself through small wins. Momentum is the key differentiator between those who achieve and those who drift. It is invisible, yet undeniable. It cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It must be earned day after day. Even if the day ahead is challenging, if your morning is composed of wins, you enter it armed, prepared, energized, centered. This is how leaders, high performers, and disciplined individuals build unshakable momentum. They start early. They win early. They stack victories until the day is theirs before it even begins. Remember, momentum is not a feeling, it is evidence. Evidence that you can follow through, evidence that you can act when others hesitate, evidence that your discipline precedes motivation. Repeat it aloud again, one win leads to another. I start early, and here's the final truth. It doesn't matter if your morning routine is simple or complex. It doesn't matter if your wins are tiny or large. What matters is completion. What matters is sequence. What matters is early execution. Completion compounds, momentum compounds, confidence compounds. Success compounds. You've mastered the alarm. You've protected your mental battlefield. You've built identity. You've activated your body. You've embraced silence. You've created before consuming. You've followed the loop. You've acted to generate feeling. Now small wins create unstoppable momentum. Every completed task is a victory. Every victory triggers the next. Every morning becomes an engine of discipline. Every day becomes an opportunity to stack wins and compound results. No thinking, no debating, no waiting. One win, another win, momentum unstoppable. Chapter 10, Miss once, reset immediately. Discipline is not perfection. Perfection is a myth. Waiting for it is a trap. Missing a morning is not failure. Not missing is not proof of strength. The real test is recovery. How fast do you get back on track? That is the measure of discipline. That is the difference between the successful and the stuck. You have a choice. You can stay down or you can reset immediately. Say it aloud. I reset fast. I return stronger. Again, I reset fast. I return stronger. Burn that into your nervous system. This is non-negotiable. The moment you miss, hesitation will whisper, "It's too late. Start tomorrow. Rest another day." That is weakness. That is comfort masquerading as logic. You have a choice. Obey weakness or obey discipline. Here's the key. The speed of recovery defines identity. Miss once and you feel guilty. That's normal. Accept it. But do not linger. Do not let one misstep define you. Do not let one morning dismantle your momentum. Reset immediately. Let's make it practical. Step 1. Recognize the miss. Don't argue, don't negotiate. Admit it. Say, I missed, I failed to act. Acknowledgement is the first step in correction. Step 2. Set a micro-win. Even a small action counts. 10 push-ups, a quick stretch, 1 journal entry, 1 deliberate action. Evidence that you are still in command. Evidence that you follow through. Step 3. Normalize recovery. Your identity is not destroyed by one miss. It is reinforced by how you respond. Immediate correction signals to your brain, I am still in control. I am still the leader of my own system. Repeat it. I reset fast. I return stronger. Missing twice is optional. Missing twice is failure. Missing once is inevitable. That's the key. Every high performer has missed mornings. Every leader has stumbled. Every winner has failed. The difference is speed. The difference is immediate recovery. The difference is identity preservation. You have a choice. You can dwell on guilt or you can act fast, correct, reset, move forward. This principle is simple, yet most people fail to apply it. They miss once and beat themselves up. They miss once and spiral. They miss once and delay for days. Momentum dies. Identity erodes. Confidence collapses. Do not fall into this trap. Reset immediately, even if the day is chaotic, even if the night was late, even if every excuse is valid. You reset, you act, you reclaim the morning. Here's how to make it automatic. 1. Prepare a recovery ritual. 10 minutes of guaranteed action. 2. Follow it immediately after a miss. No debate, no justification. 3. Return to your normal routine on the next scheduled morning. Immediate recovery trains the mind that mistakes do not define you. Discipline is defined by correction speed, not flawlessness. Repeat it aloud. I reset fast. I return stronger. Notice the psychological shift. You stop fearing failure. You stop hesitating. You stop negotiating with comfort. You understand that the measure of success is not never missing, but always correcting. Momentum is preserved. Identity is protected. Confidence is reinforced. Small wins create momentum. Misses break it only if you allow them. Reset immediately, and the snowball never stops. Recovery speed also builds resilience. Life will knock you down. Work will overwhelm you. Relationships will challenge you. Opportunities will be delayed. Mistakes will happen. But the habit of immediate correction ensures that you never stay down. You recover. You return stronger. You maintain authority over your own system. You have a choice. You can let one miss define you. Or you can make one miss a micro-teaching moment, an opportunity to reinforce identity, and a trigger to come back stronger. Missing is neutral. Recovery is decisive. Repeat it again. I reset fast. I return stronger. High performers understand the principle intuitively. They do not linger in regret. They do not debate excuses. They do not surrender momentum. They reset immediately, reinforce the habit, and proceed. This is the final pillar of morning mastery. You've stopped negotiating with the alarm. You've protected your battlefield. You've built identity through early action. You've moved your body. You've embraced silence. You've created before consuming. You've followed the loop. You've acted to generate feeling. You've stacked small wins to build unstoppable momentum. Now you've learned the ultimate safeguard: recovery. Miss once, reset immediately, return stronger, protect identity, preserve momentum, reinforce discipline. The morning is no longer fragile. It is armored. It is yours. You have a choice. Surrender to weakness and excuses, or reclaim the morning every single day. This principle does not end here. Apply it in work, relationships, fitness, and personal growth. Missed deadlines, failed projects, mistakes, conflicts, they all follow the same law. Immediate correction preserves authority, identity, and momentum. Repeat it one final time. I reset fast. I return stronger. The book is not about morning rituals alone. It is about mastery, ownership, discipline, momentum, identity. Miss once, reset immediately. Miss once, reset immediately. Miss once, reset immediately. Every morning is an opportunity. Every reset is proof. Every repetition builds unbreakable internal authority. You mastered fear of failure. You mastered hesitation. You mastered action. You mastered momentum. You mastered emotion. You mastered discipline. Now you've mastered resilience. The mornings are yours. You've learned it. You've applied it. You've lived it. Now it's time to own the rest of your life. This is the truth most people never face. Your mornings are shaping your future, whether you control them or not. Every early decision trains your mind. Every action or inaction becomes identity. And identity determines destiny. You don't need more information. You need execution. You need structure. You need standards. Tomorrow morning is the test, not next week. Not someday, tomorrow. When the alarm goes off, there is a choice: comfort or command, drift or direction, weakness or leadership, Win the morning, win the mind. Repeat it until it becomes who you are. Now set the alarm and prove it.